Let's do our fade out and fade in between these two chapters. So right here, it just harshly goes from there to there. We want to first fade out of this and then fade back in to our next topic. So we'll start by creating a new layer, naming it fade. We'll go back about a second from where the new topic comes in, and that's where we'll start our fade. We'll zoom out a little bit here so we can see what's going on. And basically all I want to do is on this keyframe that I just made with an F7 is draw a fade that is the same color as the stage. Right now it's yellow. I'll Command minus, move it aside, take the eyedropper tool, select the color of the stage. Going to convert this into a symbol, and I'll just call that symbol fade. Point, I'm not showing you every single step of things that you should know right now, so if you don't know how to make a symbol or whatever, you just back up and go watch previous videos. But as you can see, I now have 3 items in my library, and so what I'm going to do is find out by turning my eyeball off here where this needs to. Okay, so right there is where the new topic comes in. So I'll do an F6 there, and basically from between here and here, I want this to go from totally visible to totally opaque. Put my tween in here, turn the eyeball back on, so it's this very first frame is where I want that object to be an alpha of 0. Scrub the playhead and we get just what we're after. So now from here to here, I want it to fade in over the course of about a half a second. We'll clean this up in a minute, but for now we'll just make a guess. We're going to do an F6 here, put in our tween, and then we're going to go from fully opaque back down to invisible again. Scrub the playhead, you can see that I took that symbol and went from an alpha of 0 to an alpha of 100 back down to an alpha of 0. Now the beauty of digital animation is once you realize that you could use something over and over, you should do just that. We're going to need this to go through the remaining topics. So why not turn this into a 1.5 second animation that we can just plop down in this layer when we need it. So the first thing I'm going to do is check it for accuracy to make sure it is indeed 1 second and then a half second. So if that starts on frame 81 and we're on 20 frames per second, it should stop at 102. So I'll put the cursor in here, do a Shift F5, and then from here we should go from 101 to 111. So I will do a F5 in there. And then I'll just scrub my playhead, make sure everything looks good. If it didn't look good here, I would just select this whole thing and move it back or move it forward. So we're going to need to do this same exact thing over here and a couple more times. So we could copy and paste this section, but here's a much better way. Once you have an animation that you're going to use over and over, you can turn that animation into a symbol. So we're going to do a combination of what you saw when we worked in a second file, like we did for the easing in the last video, and like we did for the headlights in the car. So basically what I'm going to do is click on the first frame that I want. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, click on the last frame that I want. I'm going to right click inside of there and I'm going to select copy frames. Now I want a brand new symbol from scratch. So I'm going to go up to insert and then new symbol, or I can remember the shortcut Command F8. And this is going to be a graphic again. I'm going to call this fade reuse. I'm going to go to the first frame, right click, and I'm going to select paste frames. So now what I have is a symbol that contains an animation. Now you may be wondering why you can't see anything in there, and that's because the thing that's animated is the same color as the stage. Don't do this. I just changed my stage color to black temporarily so you could see that we are indeed going from that alpha of 0 to 100 back down to 0 in here. I put my stage back to the normal color. I'm going to click on the breadcrumbs here to get back to the main stage. I'm going to go ahead and go out to where we need this. So we said it's going to be a second back. So if this is going to be on frame 230, back 1 second would be frame 210. And I can tell by looking in here if I'm on the right frame or not. So now I am on the right frame. I'm going to do an F7. I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to bring out an instance of the fade reuse, and I'm going to position it so that it covers my stage, even if I have to use my up and down arrow keys. And I can see if I scrub my playhead, I get exactly what I want, where it starts to fade out here. And it would start to fade back in if I extend that, and we'll take care of that later. Now, we could go back to here and we could delete this and then just put in the one symbol here. But I would suggest you keep it just so you can see that there's more than one way to do the same thing. This way just happens to be very quick now that we've done the work that I just showed you. Get everything ready for our next section by going down to chapters, giving ourselves another frame. As a quick reminder, I went back a bunch of frames, copied, pasted in place what we had before, and now I'm going to paste in the information from the project page. And let me just back this up one frame, and then we'll extend all of this out a second past here, which would be to frame 250. We'll put in a bunch of F7s where appropriate. Do a little more cleanup, like why not get rid of these frames that we don't need with the Shift F5. Open up some folders here. And what we can do is just back up through here, turn our fade off, and that way it'll help us figure out where we need to put in more F7s to make things stop showing up. So we need this up until here. It fades out up till here, and then it should be gone. So we're going to open up our guides, and from that point forward, everything there can get an F7. And you're just going to keep doing that until everything looks pretty and appropriate. To save, make up backup copies, and test everything.